Hello, hello. Testing this mic. Oh, need to move it over, that would be helpful. Hello. Can you hear me okay? Hi, Mr. Freaky. Get a drink of water. And I got my music a little louder than usual. Alright, let's switch the screen over. Good. Alright, so, welcome back after yesterday. Back-to-back streams, that's always fun. We're just gonna jump right in and start working on what we left off yesterday, which was these pieces. These are the remaining pieces that we need to sand down in order to get ready for the second coat of primer and to correct any imperfections I missed. So, lots to do on these pieces. The rest of them are just kind of chilling right in front of me on my paint rack thing. So we'll see how far we get tonight. And see if we need to prime or not tonight. I have to make an adjustment here. I'm trying to get this camera to focus too. Literally have to remove everything. Annoying. There we go. Alright. And let's go. I also have some paint on my finger. Probably gonna rub on this, so try to get that off real quick. Okay, good. Alright, there we go. So, let's get going on this. Get a good angle. Okay. Lots of little bubbles going on here. This is along the seam line. But not too bad actually, so all of these were pretty much filled in both by Bondo and primer, so looking at this boot, comparing it to the other boot at least, there's a lot less work that needs to be done on this one, so that's a relief. That bubble, oh yeah, a lot right here. So kind of a big line running along the side here that's not in the middle of the shoe. So there's the middle of the shoe, which has kind of this indent line, and then there's another line here that's not supposed to be there. So I tried getting that sanded down and filled in with Bondo, but it looks like it didn't do it all the way, so. I'm gonna try to drill out some of this minor scratch. That's working pretty well, actually. I tried to avoid this area in the first place because I didn't want to over sand this shoe, but it looks fine so far, so I have to kind of go at it at the right angle. Might drill in a little bit here. Okay. Two like pesky bubbles that are not sanding down, even though we have that line smoothed out. Okay, and front of her boots, like in between the ribbons and stuff, is pretty rough, to be honest. And I did some minor fix of that stuff, but they were filled with little bubbles and holes, and I'm not quite sure how much I can do here, or care to do. I guess you can always do, more, but I'm not sure I'm emotionally invested in this kit enough to spend all that time carving out and remaking her little threads on her boots. Yeah, there's like a bubble here. I might try filling that in, but probably won't do more than that. Okay, let me grab some putty. I'll do the bottom first, and then once I sand down the bottom, move to the other side. Oh yeah, this boot was a lot rougher. Somehow I missed like a whole bunch of bubbling. It will focus. Probably hard to focus. And I'm holding the other piece up to the light, my camera. Nope, can't do it with two hands. We'll have to, oh wait, there it went. On. Okay. Some bubbling at the top here. Up here, oh, there you go. You can kind of see it for a second there. Somehow all of that got missed. I don't even know how. And so there's like 5 bubbles I need to fill in with putty there. Thought I filled all of them in because it kind of went along the seam line and then you could see the pops, but I guess I missed that too. So. That's why you always prime. Do this front now. There we go. Yeah, that is not cute. All those pops. Scratching. I don't even know what happened there. It looks like the primer hit something or I touched it too soon, and so it's a little bit rough on the side there too. Let's see. A little more. Thinking today I'll work small pieces up to large pieces. So get these boots done, and then the arms, then probably the feet, and finally the cape thing. Which this one, I don't know if this is bad or not. There's a bunch of minor stuff along the edges, but we'll have to see. Just kind of chilling again tonight. The weather's been kind of weird today. I thought it was gonna rain, but it wasn't, but it's still really hot, and so I just feel like a little drained for whatever reason. Let me switch out my sandpaper, get a new cut. Oh, there's some right here. Build that one up with dust. There we go, that looks much better. A little bit of dust. This primer coat is a little bit thicker than the other ones. There's like a hair stuck here. Yeah, sand all of that off. This is about spent, I think. Let's see. This is 800 though. Not sure if this is the one I want. Let me see. Oh yeah, there's this one. Don't know if this still has any grits though. Yeah, I'm thinking this is probably about good on this one for now. Just because I can't really get this stuff in the middle, or I don't want to. And it looks like most of the bubbles are filled in on this, so I do need to grab some more of these alligator clips. Probably just bend over. Hope I don't hit my tripod. ahead. There we go. Alright, so that's easy enough. Put that one up here too. Alright, so next boot was quite a bit worse. Move this down. Okay. There's a couple of micro bubbles that I'm popping right now. This is stuff that Bondo didn't catch. So they look like little, you know, holes that the primer can't fill in. Scratch here. That was more of an indent caused from the seam line that didn't match up. The rest of those might be able to be buffed out though. Another scratch here. I'm not sure what's happening there. One of the little ribbons in her boot had some Bondo in it, but it didn't fill it in all the way. It kind of just left the indent. So I'll just drill it out again. Let's start with that for now and see kind of where that goes. There's a bunch of other random stuff on here too. Primer buildup or some extra 2-part putty or something. We can at least get started on this. Okay, fill in that top first. Oops, I do not want to use my drill bit to get that putty out. That's no. That one and yeah, this one too. Okay, we'll start with those two and fill them in, then move to the bottom of the boot. This putty is getting close to being done. I got pretty much all of this and only this little bit up here. I do have another one in my closet, so I'll be able to switch it out for a nicer tube soon. But I do want to make sure I try to get everything out of that. Otherwise, it's a waste. I need to move some these parts that are sitting on my little bench too. Make some room. Got that commission I'm working on, which is pretty far along at this point, but it has to share space with this kit now. There we go. That should be enough room. Okie doke. This looks good. I'm excited to start getting to painting on this one. Thinking the color scheme is gonna be really cute. Can't wait to have her in my cabinet. That was easy enough. And this one. That one might run into another hole. It doesn't look like I puttied in all the way on that, so a little bit flaked off. Yeah, it didn't dry all the way on this side. Probably because I was holding the piece at another angle to try to fill that first hole. So just didn't fill in. Crunchy already. That should do it. And let me try to fill these in too then. Okay, we'll do all of those at once because they are around the same place, so I can hold them up to the light and they'll all dry at the same time. It's always a good thing. Where did that other boot go? Oh wait, we finished it. Man, I'm feeling like scatterbrained tonight. I was like, where's the other boot? Oh my gosh. Looking good though. Since we have some of these other pieces we finished last night, they're starting to show up. And I don't know what skin tone I should give this kit. I'll have to look at some reference. I do have a handful of leftover paint, because I do try to save all of that clear skin mixtures that I make. There we go. So I'll look through those first, and then if not, we can mix some new one. Add a little more. Get this focus again, yep. Go. This one's kind of annoying because all the bubbles are both along the heel and the bottom of the shoe, so really it's almost like a tiny resculpting job. Gotta make sure that the hole both lines up with both and fills in both. There we go. That one, and then coming at it from the side as well. Wow, yeah, already a handful of bubbles I had already filled in. I see a new micro bubble I'm gonna pop. That one must have just come up as I was sanding it. If you hold this piece up to the light, there's many bubbles yet to be discovered that are just kind of lingering under the surface there. So you have kind of a bubbly cast kit. As you sand it down, possible you may open up even more bubbles. Some of them are not just surface bubbles, they run a little bit deeper. That should be good. So we'll fill that one in as well. That's always kind of a pain, especially if you're, sanding down a lot, because it can just be like it's endless. The prep is endless if you're sanding and then you're filling in and you discover more bubbles, etc. Try that for now. Yep, that'll work. and then this one over here. Okay, gonna stand a little bit more along this. Since that seam line is still kind of present. Might have to fill that in as well. Let me check this side. That was weird. Got a little extra bump or something. Yeah, it looks like I filled this area in with the light carrying putty before, but there's still some scratching. So let me make 2 little holes here. This stuff is so surface level, we probably could also use Bondo on it, but because I want it to dry super quick, we'll just go with the putty instead. Bondo still has a little bit of a drying time, and sometimes when I'm sanding it on camera, it's even still kind of moist, so probably better we're just letting this stuff dry for now. Try that. I want to work on the hand that wasn't quite as bad first, which was this one. Yeah, I think it was this one. For sure. Weird there too. What's that? Let's sand that off. Lots of weird extra stuff on these pieces. Half of it's my fault because we were doing the puttying. That 2-part putty went on really well on this piece though, like you can't even tell that I extended it out. That's good. Yeah, it fits together pretty solidly once we get the trousers on, or the tattered clothes, sorry. Wearing trouserish pants, so puffy pants. There we go. A lot better. Yep, can't even see that line anymore. I feel like for this piece especially, there's gonna be a lot of sanded off primer. Smoothed out that. Whatever that was. And to this side where also needs to be smoothed down. Oh yeah, that's what's weird here. There's a extra 2-part putty? Not really sure. Something got stuck. Looks like it was probably 2-part putty. Grab this. Oh, I see. More seam line here. Should be okay though. Okay, and let me put in putty in that little tiny bow or shoestring, see if that works out. It'll be a little bit harder to reach. Have to be careful in application and sanding it. Grab another one. You can see so putting that yellow blob. There's a little hole right in the middle of her shoelace. So I want to at least get that one. There is kind of a big hole that popped on one of the like the top of the shoelace with the ribbon, and so one of the ribbon strings is shorter than the other one, but don't have the energy to deal with that one either, so she's just gonna have one shorter shoelace, which can happen, you know, you tie your shoes in a hurry. One extra one is longer than the other one, so there's a little like scratch or nub or something at the top above this bow as well, so before I sand down this putty, I'm gonna go for it. Let's see. Yeah, what is that about? Yep, just a dent, regular old dent. Yep, there we go, that's better. Okay, let me get the new sandpaper for this part at least. I'm gonna try to be more delicate here. Usually I grip the sandpaper pretty hard and can't really do that for this one. There we go. We can cut it a little bit. Tiny details that need refining. That should be okay. A little bit here. There we go. Not sure what that was, but okay. A little bit of a scratch or seam line here. Go. And that. Oh, some definite scratching. Excuse me, scratching here. Bottom of the shoe is kind of whatever though, honestly, because she's gonna be standing, so. Not mind if it's a little bit rough under the shoe. Shoes should have some texture anyway. Not sure if it's scratch or just primer. Yep, that's a scratch as well. Okay, that's all gone. Still quite not as bad as the first round, so most of this stuff has been taken care of. A lot more scratches, etc. when we first opened this kit. Okay. That one could be concerning. Oh, this again. Don't think this filled in all the way. Okay. That should definitely do it. So. I think this will be the last one on this boot though. I didn't really see anything else that required, you know, drilling into it and puttying it. So I'll give this a nice smooth down with 1200 and then we'll move on to the arm. Whoa, blurry. What's going on? Oh. Hello, those of you just tuning in, or maybe you've been here and I've been too focused. But tonight we are fixing up our prime job. So did a lot of the work on the smaller pieces yesterday. Today we're working on the tougher pieces. In other words, the ones that need a little bit more attention. We did a pretty good job on the rest of the stuff in terms of like filling it in, buffing out scratches, etc. But these pieces that I'm working on now, they are not quite as well off. So they either had more micro bubbles that, you know, showed up, or some minor scratching I'd want to sand down on them that I didn't notice before, things like that. So really this is kind of the buffing out and fixing, you know, the rest of the issues. We shouldn't be having things like part fit issues at this stage because we did all of that already. But really this is just surface level correction stuff that we missed the first time. And I always do this on all of my kits. Typically goes through 2 or 3 rounds of this sort of correction stage before I move on and finally end up painting. Alright, let me grab think this is it, but I might have cut one. Oops. I'll cut it in a piece, I guess. I think we used it. Okay, so this is just 1200 grit. Just smoothing things out even further, sanding down the primer. That way when we add that second coat, it won't cake on it quite as easily because it'll already have a softer, smooth surface. This bothers me over here. I'd rather almost get rid of all of this. Oh, it's just pretty smooth. Okay, well, let's put this piece up for now and move on to the arms, I guess. So, which one was the one that was better off? I think this one. Okay. So this arm, both arms really had a lot of seam lines running along them and quite a few micro bubbles because of that. So unfortunately, some of them did not get filled in all the way, so I will be drilling out a few of them and filling them in with a heavier duty putty. And there was definitely one here that bothered me. I'm not sure. It's just like a red hole, probably Bondo hole. Flakiness happening here, so prime job didn't go on quite as well, so a piece of the primer flaked off. Primer is adhering pretty well though, which is always a good thing. So this kit was kind of shiny and I had minor concerns that the mold release wouldn't be quite as easy to take off, but it looks like we're okay. Yeah, I'm gonna drill this one too. Inside also a little bit rough, especially right here. Hard to get an angle on this. There we go. Wow, yeah. My drill bit just kind of sunk into it, so definitely need a hole there. Alright, start with a couple filling these in and then we'll just kind of move on like the other piece, as in continue to spot corrections. But once I see stuff, I kind of like to treat it right away rather than like drill the whole piece, because then that way I'm making sure I'm covering everything, kind of doing it as I go. Okay, and we'll start with these two on the top. There's a couple things down there I want to address later, but gotta make sure that this putty dries first. Hello Unit, just saw your message. You started your chi since last time. You got a prep for the weekend. Nice! Good to hear. Both in terms of you staying busy and working on your chi, so that's great. Which chi is it? I don't remember if I asked last time. Is she on MFC at all? She is one of those figures that I have always wanted to paint her, but I hadn't found like the one, and I really enjoy that character, but not so much that I would want her like filling up all of my cabinets. And so I have a really lovely PVC of her from I think Hobby Max, is it the one where she's sitting on her lamp and it's based off the illustration, and I really like that one. But garage kit wise, just like haven't, there's a bunch that I like but not enough to like go and buy. You would have to look. She has this impossible egg whisk. Oh yes, she's wearing her like it's not a maid outfit, but it's like a, you know, cute apron, and it's kind of brownish apron clothing, right? And then she's got her little head thingy. I think that's the one I'm thinking of. And she's holding up an egg whisk like that. I remember that one, I think. That, or there's like one maybe where she's on her like knees, but I don't think that one had an egg whisk. Yep. Yeah, that one's super cute. Not too bad, I wouldn't say parts breakdown, but color scheme either. So it's a really nice mellow color scheme, and the, you know, dresses seemed pretty easy to paint in terms of like parts breakdown. So let me grab another one. Well, that one should be fun then. I don't recall who manufactured that kit off the top of my head. I just remember it's quite an older one, so it might even be a old manufacturer that did it. A lot of the Chi kits back in that era were like T-System or, you know, manufacturer ones like Kotobukiya, etc. Because they did used to produce garage kits as well. Lots and lots of oldies, but goodies. Some pretty rare Chi ones out there as well. Every now and then one pops up that has never been like seen before. Because back in, you know, early 2000s, people weren't taking tons and tons of footage, let alone put it on the internet. So sometimes auctions can be real exciting with kits like Chi or other popular characters of that era. I haven't gone on Yahoo auctions in a long while though. Oops. So hit and miss these days. Mandarake had a pretty good garage kit update for anybody who's looking to buy new stuff. I try to avoid there too lately, but every now and then they do what I call like a drop. And like most of the time they have the same kind of stuff on there, you know, older kits, but every now and then they have a drop, and meaning that they put up a whole bunch of newer stuff or things that are a little bit rare but relatively newer festival wise. So those are always fun to hunt through. Kind of first come first serve when it comes to those drops, but usually you can get some good original characters and stuff out of them. Saw a lot of Made in Abyss for this drop, so, and there's quite a few that hadn't sold out yet, so people are looking to buy. Let's see, you're so excited for this TFO4. Q4 tries to get the gist of it in the process. Yeah, oh my god. Do I still have time to like sign up for it? I honestly, like, this would be my first one. I haven't really done it. I mean, I have a forwarder and everything already. I've been kind of keeping an eye on the tags for TFO, but not a lot. There's an Abigail Williams in a swimsuit that's super cute that I kind of wanted, but she also was being sold at the Volks Hobby Festival. And it's not enough where it's just like, I want it, you know, want to be displaying it. But I would probably paint it if somebody bought it and wanted it commissioned. I feel a lot like that lately. Like, I wouldn't want to own it in my in my collection, but I would probably paint it for someone else if given the chance, but highly depends on the kit. Let's see, there's one of her on Yahoo Auctions that's so cute you might cry. Oh, a new Chi? Or an old Chi, maybe. Yeah, those ones are, you can come across some pretty good deals on YJ for older kits like that. Chi comes up pretty often too. It varies on the kit, of course, but there seemed to be quite a few of her made back in the day, so luckily she's still relatively easier to find as an original character, or like an original kit. Okay, sign up before August 3rd because the site will close. Oh yeah, that's coming up quick then. Okay, I'll have to go and look into my friend Toshki's guide then and figure that out, because it doesn't seem like it's that difficult, honestly, but I think that the process to like buy and day of, and I think you have to put stuff in your cart like the night before, right? I'm not even really sure how it works. I kind of like I blank out when people start talking about TFO because I just have not really found anything that I wanted on there yet. Pretty much exclusively like Fate Grand Order and Ozerlane and you know, some other random stuff, but I can still get the other stuff off of Booth and the things that I want, so we'll see. There were a couple that I was looking at that I was like, maybe. It would be good to at least have an account, I think, just in case. And once you make one, I don't think you need to make another account, right? Maybe you just need to sign up for the actual events. You're completely lost. Okay, basically, what we're talking about is an online garage kit festival. So it's called Treasure Festa Online, and this was basically a new development. It kind of started in 2019, I think, and you know, or maybe it was even 2020 through coronavirus. And it's an alternative to going to a festival in person and buying garage kits there. So basically you can sign up for an account and purchase garage kits from these festivals online and have them sent to your home. And all you need as a foreigner is a forwarder. Sorry, kind of like hard to say both. But yeah, a forwarder is basically a company that gives you a Japanese address, and then you use that address and they will, like, whatever site you purchase from will just ship directly to that address. And so it eliminates the need for a proxy to like check and validate your purchase and then, you know, do all the checkout and stuff. So you're responsible for all of that. But the good thing is, like, for these festivals is it's new, right? And like foreigners have never been able to purchase garage kits so easily before. Usually you have to go to a festival if you want to be buying these or get them secondhand. So this will be TFO 4, just refers to it being the 4th festival. And by now, like, they have pretty much figured out their online system. So it was a little bit rough for the first 1 or 2. I heard the 3rd festival was okay. Just because, you know, they were figuring out the logistics of it and the server load, people couldn't get in, etc. But now it's a little bit easier, I think, for people, you know, to get their kits. And a lot of friends of mine have been very successful in being able to order from these festivals directly and getting quite big loots. So it seems as if, at least for these festivals, a little bit easier and not quite as exclusive. They still sell out pretty quickly, but I think there's ways to make sure you get what you want. And most people that I know have gotten almost everything they wanted. Once you have the account, you can either pay the 500 yen for early admission or reserve yourself for the free day. Worth at least reserving for the second. Yeah, that would make sense, Bryce, for sure. I think that it would be good to check that both of those days out. You know, it's interesting because it is, you know, a new thing, but not like new in the terms of online festivals, I guess, and access. But I find it fascinating, you know, like how it's kind of evolved, and I hope that it's here to stay, but I'm a little bit concerned, you know, once coronavirus restrictions in Japan start to lift up more, that TFO online will go away. Maybe it'll have its own separate thing and then they'll have an in-person one as well. That would be great. Really good for people who are into, you know, series like Fate Go, because some of those kits sell for insane amounts on the aftermarket, and so really you're just, by signing up for that festival and purchasing the kit, you know, online through the festival, you're supporting that artist directly. You're not paying like a crazy scalper price. So really it's kind of the best situation. It's a win-win for sculptor and artist, or sculptor and consumer. I'm not sure how much like artist has to pay to be on that site, but you know, they don't have to pay for the hotel and all that other crazy stuff, so their costs must be shaved down too. But I hope it continues. It seems like it's a good alternative for people. I've heard, you know, people are pretty happy with it, so always good to have options. Yeah, Fries, if you, I don't have Toshki's guide on hand, but if you have it, then maybe you can post it for Mr. Frike. If not, Mr. Frike, on my website under guides, I have a guide for proxying and forwarding, and at the very bottom of that, it talks about TFO online, and you can, I do have that guide linked there, so you can check it out there as well. There, thank you, Fries. Let's see, I hate how sculptors announce the kit sales a couple days before the event. Yeah, that's always a bummer. To be honest, that happens at Wonder Festival too. So, it's like the worst, right? Because you know, want to make, you have your whole list and your holy grails and your must-haves and your kind of wants, and then like the night before, the sculptor's like, hey, by the way, this is what I'm dropping and I'll be there. And you're just like, why? Why? Yeah. Makes hunting much harder, or at least more panicked. But it's all in good fun. And then eventually you'll just accumulate so many kits you won't know what to do with yourself. And you'll have no time to build all of them. And that's when you know you're a modeler. You still want to support the artist, so it's not always easy as a confused foreigner. Yeah, definitely. This I can tell you with confidence as someone who's been in this hobby for a long time, is a new thing, and so far seems to be really positive in terms of like online sales via, you know, TFO, Venue, Volks Hobby Online, etc. This really was not a thing until coronavirus started, and I guess it's also a way, you know, for Japanese to support each other by buying these online, but it has the added benefit of helping foreigners out too. And yeah, the good thing about those is that you can get these licensed kits. So I talk about Booth a lot on here, and you know how great it is for buying original characters and stuff, but not everyone's into that, and so you know, giving people who are into the licensed characters a chance to get their stuff too without being scalped out, that's a really good thing, I think. Alright, I've sanded down this arm basically almost entirely and filled in a couple bubbles along the way. I'm not really seeing too much more, so I think we're getting close to being done with this piece, but this was the good arm. Yes, you guys. We are all noobs when we start in this hobby, so never be, you know, ashamed or embarrassed because you're not sure of something. There's definitely like a language that this hobby uses too that you can very easily just like not make sense. Using acronyms and talking about things, and you know, flash tabs and nubs and TFO and one fest, etc. Like it can all get kind of crazy. So if you ever need clarification, if I'm not making sense, just please ask. I'm more than happy to share. Okay, I was just kind of shaving off whatever this extra stuff was. There was like a little bump. All right. I think this arm is good for now. We will return after we've primed it again. Gee, what else I missed? Wow, that's a very small pin. I keep forgetting it was a small magnet. However you get there, right? As long as you get to the top, don't matter. I think as long as you need in whatever path. Okay, so this one, definitely rougher. Oh yeah, there's just a lot of bubbles already. So unfortunately I'm gonna have to pop quite a bit of bubbles kind of along the arm here. Not sure if you guys can see them, but there's a line here. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see. A line here where I can still see the holes from the seam line I sanded down. Bondo is good about fixing some of these small ones, but there's still a couple pinpricks. Quite a few actually, so I'm gonna drill out a little bit. We'll see how many of these we can get filled in. Luckily they're all pretty close together, so by drilling one you can fill in a couple at a time. And I'm still using my small, regular drill bit that I use, but you can use a large one for this as well. Yeah, I wanted to avoid doing this if possible, drilling a whole bunch of holes in the arm, but unfortunately I don't really have a choice for this piece. Yeah, top 80%. That's always good too. As long as you're doing stuff, honestly, you're already probably the top 80%. We have a lot of collectors who collect garage kits, but people who end up actually building them and painting them is a different story. Alright, just put in some putty on this arm now. We're gonna work on the top, kind of the shoulder blade first, and then I'm gonna fill in all of those holes. Get a drink while I'm waiting. Running low on water. Actually, I have water, but my straw is not long enough. We'll open that up in a little bit. Alright, sand down this one. I don't want to modify this too much, because this is the hand that fit really nicely into her sleeveless shirt. That should be good. Okay. Now all of these. There's like 5 of these to fill in, so a lot of sanding coming up. I really wish that the sculptor or whoever cast this took a little bit more time in vacuuming out these bubbles. Okay, that should be good for now. Hopefully we can get most of these sanded down around the same time, so just kind of run the sandpaper along all of it. Let's see, you got 5 to do already, but some recasts and older ones from YJ. You never know what pretty things might be. Yeah, that's the way of kits, yeah. They just kind of, usually like people starting out tend to accumulate favorites or their, holy grails that they want, and you slowly find them, or you choose to buy a recast, which I don't recommend, but if you choose to, then you do you. And so really then your like hoard begins, and so at some point like you end up with more in your closet than you're outputting. And the more like new favorites you find, so after you've gone through your characters that you like and found your kit holy grails, etc., there's all the new ones to look forward to at the new festivals. And so that's the fun part, is like, there's always something new you could find, and while at the same time you're looking for the old ones that you really like. And so you sometimes get really lucky and you end up, finding a new one, and then the old one goes up for auction at the same time, for whatever reason. A lot of times before festivals, at least pre-COVID, there would often be like a dump of people trying to offload kits because they know people are looking at the auction sites around festival time. And so you can sometimes get some pretty good deals on stuff by people just trying to sell off old kits or, you know, things that are being resold at a festival, etc. And so it's just about the hunt. It's that treasure hunting and filling up your closet with goodies, and then maybe you're able to paint a couple of them and display them and feel proud of yourself. At least that's what I do. You know, I don't feel like I'm buying a lot of kits these days. I really have slowed down a lot, but my closet is still full somehow. So honestly, like it's just a point where you're like, all right, guess this is my life. I have no storage space. So yeah, I don't even know how many unpainted kits I have at this point. I have a list on MFC, but a lot of kits that I have at this age, or you know, at this point in my collection, aren't even on MFC because I have a bunch that, you know, are Chinese made, or they're so old that I can't find info on them online at all, so I'm not really even sure who the sculptor is. And on MFC you need to have like a sculptor and a festival date in order to add the kit, or a circle I guess, and a festival date. And so I don't even know it for some of them. I just saw them on auction. It was characters I liked, and so they're just sitting in my closet. Got one or two like Western ones sitting in my closet, so definitely more than 50 that I have not painted yet. But a surprising number that I have painted that are just kind of, you look around my room and they're just sneaky and sitting there. But the whole issue is someday. You'll get around to it someday. And because they are so limited and exclusive, find it better to, if it finally comes up on auction, to purchase it even if you're not going to build it right away, because there's no guarantee that you might find it again. I'm talking more about the rare stuff. So there's certain kits that pop up all the time, that show up for resale all the time, you know. But some of that rare stuff can be really hard to find, and some people end up looking for years before they find the kits that are their holy grails. So I have definitely been there. Finally, after 8 years, found some of my Yotsuba Holy Grail figures, and they were all in one bundle, and I could not believe it. It was like a miracle. I'd been searching pretty much like on and off, but definitely for about 8 years, and then they all showed up together. Had to have it. Not even a question. And then it got into a bid war, and it got real scary for a little bit, but I ended up winning. Alright, as I sanded down that putty and primer, similar to what happened before, I opened up a couple of other new holes, and so I'm going to fill those in as well. This whole arm on this side is just going to be body yellow by the time we're done with it, it looks like. Like one right here too. Yep. Yeah, that one looks like it was attempted with Bondo, but did not work. That'll be something to do when you retire. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm viewing it as. Like, if I ever end up retiring, they'll be my retirement project. That and like doll houses when I'm an old granny. I'm probably gonna end up being one of those like dollhouse granny people. It always amazes me how many like dollhouse grannies there are when like your vision is supposed to go bad when you're older. But these people have such precision and skill in their craft, it just astonishes me. And if you ever go to like a dollhouse, not convention, but sometimes there's like meetups and miniature sales, it's primarily like older women, which is cool. one, but also they're like really old. Like, man, I'm talking like 60, 70-year-old grandmas, and they make this furniture and they're just beautiful. It's really impressive. So I want to be one of those older people that's still like working on miniatures and building kits and stuff. I think that would be so cool to be able to do that for that long and be passionate about it. I don't tend to see it as much these days. Back when I first started this hobby, there were a lot of older people that I looked up to in this hobby. And it's not just me getting older either. I'm talking like, 50, 60, even 70-year-olds who are on like forum boards and stuff that I frequented. And I don't quite see that as much anymore. Not sure if it's just they're getting too old or the tech gap is getting too big. It's also harder to find information, I feel, these days. So really, like, you have to convey these through a Twitch stream or check a Facebook post or watch a TikTok like reel or whatever, but a lot of that info is just so short term and ephemeral, and there's not really any solid place to like have that info anymore. And so a lot of that info from those older people is being lost, and it's kind of a shame, honestly. That, or you have to be very, very specific in your search terms on Google, and then the old forum results will pop up. But a lot of old forum boards and stuff are going down now too, so it's tough. It's like, how do you keep a hobby alive, when it's so small anyway? And when I talked with some older dollhouse women about this, because, back pre-COVID, I would occasionally go to these meetups because I like to find little thingies for my kits and stuff. Almost all of that info, like the things that they're talking about, at least experiences that I had talking to these people, they don't go online. Like, they don't talk about it on online spaces. It's usually like local groups of older people meeting up and exchanging this info, but kind of tough, to get in new people in the hobby. I think it's getting better though, because there are groups I'm in that have older people posting stuff. So I think it really just depends like where you're trying to get your info from. Not sure if you guys have had that kind of experience with garage kits. Like, where do you primarily look for info? Do you get it from other people like streamers or YouTube videos? Do you search like Reddit? Very curious from like a perspective of someone who's seeking knowledge, since a lot of what I have is like already learned. So unless I need to look up something very specific, chances are I probably already have an inkling how to do it. But I'm very curious about how people getting into this hobby are finding information. I don't have a TikTok either, so I'm not really like sure if there is a garage kit presence. I do know a couple of people that use it and show their process of them painting eyes, etc. and stuff on it, but that's pretty much the extent of my knowledge. Just interesting to think about. Alright. Pretty good, but the more I sand these, the more like bubbles are popping up, so it's just taking a little bit longer than I would have liked, just because the quality of this cast is not fantastic. So I can't even remember how many we filled in at this point, but I've got 3 more to fill in now because I just noticed them again as we're sanding, popping up more. But better to fill them in and drill in a little bit. That way if there's any in the surrounding vicinity, then those get filled in as well. Okay. This one again. Trying to get some small bits of putty come out, but it's just these big globs. I need to switch out my toothpick soon. It's getting a little bit clumpy. Alright, hold this up to the light now and see if that helped at all. Let's see. I found out about them a while back because you're into figures already and designer toys. Actually finding Tio. Oh yeah. Yeah, well, thanks for finding me. Yeah, Leona is pretty much like the starter gateway for a lot of people because her stuff pops up a lot on YouTube. So, and she does do a fair number of tutorials as well. So you look up Garage Kit and then, you know, probably pops up. Designer toys though, that's not the first time I've heard that, and I think that's interesting because I have actually also had friends that kind of went the other way. So they started out with kits and then they kind of moved into designer toys instead, whether like designing their own and working with, you know, artists who create them or painting them. So I think that's really interesting. That's a whole other ball game that I haven't really delved into very much, is painting designer toys or you know, 3D sculpted toys, etc. That's a growing field, I think, and I've seen it quite a few artists on Instagram, you know, selling their stuff and sculpting, and sometimes some of them are just like 3D works and then they need to like work with someone who can print them. A friend of mine actually is into that business. I haven't heard from him in a while, but he was attempting to break into the field and design his own toys and print other people's toys. Seemed like it was going well the last time that I heard. Okay. A little bit more here. Some of those toys are super cool though, like if I'm being honest. Where'd I put my... I like the freedom in some of those as well, because a lot of them are, well, it depends on how complex they are, but you can do some really cool paint jobs and put in really cool patterns and stuff on them. Less pressure than painting a humanized garage kit or anime kit where you need, you know, super smooth skin, and or realistic garage kit where you need textured skin, etc. Like those ones you can just do crazy patterns and fun stuff. More about the paint job. Okay. I could not believe how long we've been on this side of the arm. It's just like, oh. I knew this kit was bad, but, or this arm was bad, but geez. Okay, one more. And then maybe we can continue moving along it. Really want to make sure everything is smoothed down so we don't have to just endlessly do this. Oops. Okay. Hold that up. Let's see, that's the dream. You went to designer con. I meant, oh wow, you meant Junko Mizuno? That's super cool. That's super, super cool. Yeah, talk about like influential designer, right? Man, that would be so inspiring. Ooh, hear that thunder. I don't know if you guys could hear it. Sounds like there's a storm finally coming in. But yeah, oh man, that's so cool. I've never been to a con like that, so most of them are like game cons or anime cons, but not like you know, miniature cons or designer cons, that kind of thing. Pre-COVID, right? Conventions. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I just sand them and then more and more pop up. I need to just stop sanding this arm. Like, that's just what's gonna happen here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let's see how much yellow there is on this. It's like all along the arm. Missile is spooked. Aw, my dog is getting scared because he's afraid of the thunder. It was pretty loud, that last one, so he needs a blankie. Let's see. You want to visit Japan, you're gonna have to time it right. Yeah, you gotta time your trips typically in either February or August. It's like when the festival, Blaze Wonder Festival happens. But they kind of change the weekends sometimes. So like when I went, basically planned it around 3 weekends, and so I was like, well, whatever weekend Wonder Festival falls on, that's the one. It ended up being the very first like weekend we flew in, and so ended up going to Wonder Festival like first thing, and then had to pack and carry around my kits the whole rest of the time I was in Japan. That was fun. But yeah, they don't, I think, release the official day until pretty far along. They try to release it a couple months ahead, you know, so people have time to plan and travel and stuff. But just be aware that if you're, you know, trying to book really far out, that you want to be careful to make sure you get the right weekend. You can also check a record of past Wonder Festivals, at least for Wonder Festival. I'm not sure if TFO does this, but there is a record of past Wonder Festivals, and usually they were pretty reliable in terms of which weekend you could book. But at least when I went in 2019, they changed it and had it a week earlier, so I hadn't booked that first weekend just in case I would have missed it. How much did I spend at Wonder Festival? I set aside around $1,200 US, so that was like savings that I'd personally accumulated. Had a feeling like I was gonna blow definitely over $1,000 on kits, considering most of them are, you know, anywhere between 5,000 to 15,000. Some of them get more, I'm talking yen, so 5,000 to 15,000 yen. Some of them now are a little bit more expensive. We're reaching the 20,000, 25,000 yen territory, which is around 200 to 250 US dollars. So, you know, considering that, if you're buying 4 of those, you've already hit your limit, right? So I saved around that much. I knew I'd spend over 1,000. I also put in a little bit extra because when you're walking around Wonder Festival, there's lots of stuff that you don't see online, and so it's when you're just window shopping and looking around, you might find something that you really like, and so you want to make sure you have money. And it's gonna be all in cash, so it's a cash-based deal, and so really you're just pulling out thousands and thousands of yen and just handing them over to these sculptors, and they give you a kit. So just be prepared, you know, to spend probably more than you think. And yeah, save early because you want to make sure you have enough for the kits that you want. But it does help if you're able to plan your festival trip and the kits that you want a little earlier. So I had in mind, you know, what I had already planned to get because I'd been looking at Twitter and, you know, favoriting and saving kits that I wanted. So I don't think that I went over like too crazy. There was 1 or 2 impulse buys, but for the most part I stayed within my budget, and I didn't go over my budget, which is, you know, pretty much the best. Whoa! Oh, that was a little scary. Heard a crack. That was pretty much the best case scenario. But yeah, when you're there, oh my god, especially if it's a sculptor you like and they're selling like more than like a different sculpt of a kit that you didn't expect, it could be very easy to impulse buy. I'm a big fan of the artist Munchkin, so the circle Munchkin, and I definitely impulse bought a kit on top of a kit I already wanted. and it was 100% worth it, but I don't know when I'm ever gonna paint her, so it's really just like a, ugh. Ooh, it's gonna be a big storm. At least you don't know who's who yet, so it's harder to impulse buy. Yeah. So I was like, I already have my whole list of favorite sculptors. I've got my, you know, kids I want, and I was like there on a mission. And so it was pretty easy for me to just go and spend, but if you're just there to enjoy the festival atmosphere and maybe pick up one or two things, like, you know, there's plenty of kits and fun to be had just by looking around as well. Honestly, could have spent all day just looking and admiring, because they show their painted prototypes too, right? And so you get these, you know, amazing sculptors with their amazing paint jobs, and it's right in front of your face, and it's almost like owning it for like a brief moment. Your eyes own it. You can take in the beauty of it. You know, so many of these kits are so detailed, unlike, you know, well, PVC is getting a lot better these days at being detailed and elaborate, but the shading jobs and stuff on some of these kits are just incredible. It's really something different, I think, to own and display a garage kit versus a PVC figure, because the top coats are different, the primer and, you know, paint job is different. PVC factory grade stuff, you know, some of it can kind of look the same after a while because they all kind of use the same top coat, etc., same shading style, etc. But yeah, with the garage kit you're getting a one of a kind, so seeing how different sculptors do that is just so interesting. Alright, as you can see, I finally moved on. There was like one or two tiny holes here, but I'm just gonna see if the second coat of primer will fill those in. And now I'm continuing on the work along this way, just sanding it as I go. There's a bunch of holes right along her kind of palm of her hand right here though, so. Yeah, oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, it's really loud over here, so I hope I don't lose power. I think I should be fine. I'm on a battery, but I might lose internet, so yeah. Thanks for your patience, guys. If you hear like a loud crack and me like jumping, that's the thunder. Okay, so there's so many holes here. I think I took a photo before. Let me see if I can show it again, so you guys know this time. Where did I put that photo? Here it is. So, let's see if it will zoom in. This is kind of what I'm looking at on my, like, in person. So it's actually a little bit deeper and worse looking than this, but you can see all of these are holes that I kind of filled in with Bondo, but it just didn't get there all the way. And I thought these holes were a little bit shallower than they actually are, so I am unfortunately going to have to drill into them and fill this in. This, I think, was the worst, one of the worst spots other than the back of that arm. But yeah, I could talk about Wonder Festival, like, honestly, forever. I really hope I get a chance to go there again in the near future, just because it's such an amazing experience, especially as someone who builds these kits. Like, it was really cool seeing all of the PVC and stuff, but man, wandering those holes, something else. Stream meetup. Yeah, actually, I did end up meeting quite a few people at Wonder Festival. It was a big meetup that ended up happening, and so I met some, you know, a lot of friends that I had known online for quite a while, friends of friends that, you know, I'd seen in Discord. It was really, really cool to be able to see both people that build and friends that, you know, are just there to see PVC, etc. So ended up like hanging out. Well, kind of what happened is we all like some of us lined up together, and then we all dispersed because you want to make sure you get your kits. And then we all met up later, kind of in the afternoon, and then all went to dinner together. And so that was really fun. Just, you know, meeting people you haven't ever seen before, or some friends that you haven't seen in a long time, and sharing a good time together, sharing your loots, seeing what you got, you know. It was pretty incredible. Really fun. Back pre-COVID, usually if you're in a garage kit group, someone would say, you know, they're going to be going to the festival that year or whatever, and then if someone else is going in that group, then you would meet up with them and, you know, get a photo together, or go get lunch or dinner or something. And so I've seen that happen a handful of times with people that are in this hobby. Let's see, did you get any kit envy when you saw something someone else found? Actually, no. Like, it's more just so exciting because, like, you're there, and you've got the kits that you really wanted, and they're there, and they got the kits they really wanted, and so, like, you end up, like, sharing your loot, and you're like, oh my god, look at the, you know, the resin on this kit, or look how good these parts fit, or look at what the heck is this, you know? It's more like sharing the experience and the joy of being a fellow builder, which is something that I don't really get experience in person. Like, I don't know anybody super close that paints like these types of kits that I paint. And so, like, there's people that build Gundams, right? And then, like, Monkey build papercraft and stuff. But not like anime garage kits. And so being in it, not only like the convention atmosphere, but the festival, and being surrounded by people who love building kits, whether they're professionals or total amateurs, it's just so nice. It was really fun. And sharing, you know, what loots you got at the end of the day, it was really, really fun. I don't tend to hang out with people for very long. I kind of have a short fuse for social situations, but at that festival, I'd never felt more in, like, my element. And it sounds weird saying that, being, you know, in a foreign country, you don't speak the language at all, but there's, like, that love of, you know, not only anime and culture and garage kits and art, you know, but just being surrounded by all of that, which it was really nice. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So I would love to go again. I think it would be so much fun. Love to meet up with people if they end up going, you know. Just unfortunately, COVID happened, and a lot of people's trips are postponed, and festivals just outright canceled, you know. So I'm sure there's a lot of people who live in Japan who are feeling that too. You know, they miss being around people who enjoy this hobby and talking with people, sharing their work, etc. Even though we're able to do this online, I think that there's something really special about doing it all in person too, which is dearly missed. Alright, continuing along with this, I sanded down a lot of those bubbles and got a good amount of them filled in, but there's still one or two here. My dehumidifier is going on top of the thunder, so if you need me to shut, well, the dehumidifier off, I can't shut the thunder off, just let me know, because I do tend to talk a little quiet sometimes. At the rate this is going, I think I might have some homework for our next stream to try to get some of this stuff sanded down. This is taking longer than I anticipate, but I say that literally every stream. So, once again, thank you for your patience as we build these kits slowly together. Yeah, no, that's not the rain. That's just my just my dehumidifier saying it's about to rain, so I better get my butt in gear. Yeah. I don't know if it's raining. I don't hear any rain right now. I only heard thunder. Yeah, I don't hear it right now. I just hear the fan of my computer. Let's see, are there any communities you should check out to learn more? In terms of garage kits or just like hobby sphere, there are a few. I think most of them are, well, so I don't really participate that much in dedicated garage kits groups anymore for personal reasons. So I can't give you too many suggestions. If you are on Discord though, there is a garage kit community that my friend Toshki is running. That's a little smaller than a lot of the ones that are out there, but it seems like it's going very well, and it's a very safe and welcoming space for everybody. I don't have a link to it. I'll have to try to find a link, or I can ask her for a link to it, and then next time, if you're interested and if you're on Discord, then you may want to check it out. I'm also not in that one just because, again, personal reasons. I try to kind of, for my own mental health, avoid a lot of social interaction, I guess. But yeah, so there's that one. There's Facebook groups. So there's like a couple of Facebook groups that have them. You kind of have to just search like in Google or in Facebook search like anime garage kit or garage GK building, that kind of thing, and a couple of them will pop up. There's also subreddits. So there's a resin kit subreddit that's, I don't think it's super active, but there's people that post in there. And then just kind of extending out, there's a lot of like Gunpla, you know, Discords and servers and that kind of thing. So it kind of really depends on what you primarily want to build, because I have found that like Gunpla section stuff is kind of separate from garage kit stuff. Hi, Cannon. Yeah, actually, Mr. Freaky, it is. Yeah, so Toshki is pretty active in the garage kit community, and she started up a new Discord server after an old one was shut down, and so she runs that one, and I've heard it's a very nice space. But yeah. But yeah, what I was saying is that, yeah, if you're interested in like Gunpla, then your world opens up quite a bit, because in garage kits, like, it's pretty small, everyone kind of knows everybody, or at least start to get familiar with people, and the other types of hobbies are a lot more open, I guess. People are more, it's easier to find and build them, let me say. Garage kits have like an air of exclusivity behind them already, where people are afraid of jumping into this hobby because it's too technically advanced or expensive, and so the field of them tends to be a little bit smaller than like plastic kits and other stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of a brief, I guess, note on what communities are available. Unfortunately, I don't know of any like forum boards or similar things that are open anymore. That's just kind of an era that's fading away. Most of the stuff is found in Discord or the last remaining social media groups. Which reminds me, actually, Discord created a new feature today that they were rolling out called threads, which are literally just like forum threads, but in Discord. And so if you run a community like that, then it's the birth of new forums, I guess. I haven't had a chance to try it out or look at it. Not really sure how I feel about it. I feel like it might end up in resulting in a lot of unread messages, which kind of like stresses me out, because Discord has, you know, the white text pop up if you haven't read a message, and so not really sure yet. But for topics like, you know, asking questions and stuff, forums were the best at that. So if Discord can facilitate that level of discussion again, then it could be a very good thing. You've been looking at those threads. Yeah, they're a little weird. I'm not really sure how I feel about them. And granted, I'm not even, like, I don't even know how to access them. So, you know, that would be step one. It's like figuring out how the heck to get into a thread. And then whatever else comes after that, I guess. They don't just seem like they don't, I don't know. I'll have to experience it and let you guys know later how it goes. Yeah. To me, the concept is a little weird because to me, like, a Discord channel seems kind of forum-like already, right? You know, it's a place where people can post messages together, etc. When I think of forum, like, board messages, generally they're a little bit more drawn out. Like, the replies are lengthier. In Discord, you can just be like, lol K. And so, a little bit harder. Let's see, I'm sure they'll make a new feature to automatically turn off the notification for threads. Yeah, that, I think if they haven't had that already, then yeah, it's definitely needs to be implemented, because that I can already feel like I'd be pretty anxious having to check everything all the time. I pretty much mute a lot of channels in Discord just because I don't like seeing all the notifications. So if I can't turn off forum threads, then I don't know how I feel about that. Not very pleasant. Alright. There is a big ol' hole right on her thumb, so we're gonna fill that in. But I think that's pretty much the last one to fill in on this arm. We have done a lot of sanding down. I've removed a lot of the original primer at this point. Man, this humidifier working overtime. So yeah, we'll have to see. It could be a very good thing if you're in a hobby-focused community and, you know, you need to ask a question, then a Discord forum thread might be a really good option for you. Being able to, you know, quickly ask it and get someone to reply and then close it. Because sometimes channels and threads, not channels, or not threads, channels in Discord can move really quickly depending on how many people are active in a chat. So if it's a personal thing, and I'm also not sure if anybody can generate a thread or if it has to be like Discord mod to do it. This is all stuff I've yet to read. I really didn't read anything about it yet. So if anybody can make a thread, then that's both good and bad, I guess. But if only mods can make it, then that doesn't really make too much sense because they can already make channels and stuff. So we'll have to see. Anyway, I'm mostly on Discord these days. I don't really participate on other social groups. Probably just because I am more of a gamer in that respect. Which, how about that Genshin Impact, huh? When am I gonna get garage kits for Wonder Festival popping up? Please. Please, almighty MiHoYo. Let me build. Okay, whoops, I dropped that arm. Yep, where's our Venti kits? Where's that Venti Nendo? He's coming out, you know. I don't know when, but his little photo was shown, so someday. Also, PSA for anybody ordering Genshin figures. That new Ningguang figure is up on AmiAmi, but there's a high price hike on it. I'm talking like $70+ difference between ordering on AmiAmi versus China, like using a Chinese proxy. So just be aware if you're interested in that one. I was kind of shocked to see the price difference. I'm not going to order her. She's like not really my style, but still, yeah, I haven't really seen that much of a price difference. That was a little shocking. Really good Genshin 3D prints are floating around now. Yeah, I've seen quite a few. I haven't really printed any. I don't have a 3D printer or anything, so, and a lot of them I'm not super interested in, but there are definitely some good ones, and some people that I know have just been building them right and left, so they are a very good option for people who want to build. I tend to try to like hold out until I find one that I really, really love. Just cause, and I do that for kits kind of in general these days. I really try not to impulse buy because I know I'm not gonna build stuff very quickly. So I wanna make sure my closet is full of stuff that I'm actually, like I could take out pretty much anything and be content and happy to build it. There's nothing that I'm really like, I'll like shove that in the back of the closet. Maybe one or two, but for the most part, it's like, you know, I'm completely happy with where I'm at. And so 3D prints, though, they open that up, right? So you could like print anything, save the prints, get them ready, etc. And so I have to be pretty picky about what I want and don't want regarding those prints. Alright, I'm gonna drill a little hole right kind of in her, like the elbow part here. There's a lot of tiny holes that just showed up. Well, this whole arm is full of tiny holes, but these ones were very visible and Bondo didn't fix them. Let's see, there's so much stuff on CG Trader you want to build. Yeah, you're yep, that's the way it goes, right? Yeah. It's really, yeah, it's kind of pick your poison these days. We have so many options. That's the good thing, though. So many options on, you know, where to get things and how to buy them or print them, etc. So really we're in such a good era for building figures, and I've seen a lot of new people jumping into this hobby because it is becoming a more accessible route, and I hate to say it, but more affordable route compared to PVC prices these days. You know, 10 years ago, even shorter than that, 5 years ago, people would always compare garage kits as being the vastly more expensive product and unobtainable, too expensive, not possible to start. Nowadays, it's kind of becoming more acceptable and even flipping a little bit because PVC prices have risen so much. So you can buy a really amazing garage kit for, you know, 10,000, 15,000 yen, or you can buy a meh PVC for 18,000, 20,000 yen. So, you know, where are your priorities? Do you want something, you know, that you really love the sculpt of, but you don't have a paint job for it? Or do you want to, you know, pay for a character that's only kind of meh, but you're paying this like insanely marked up price for PVC that might not necessarily be worth it? Not to say that PVC aren't worth it, because I own many PVC and I still collect them, but there is absolutely a price hike that has been happening in figures and collecting over the past couple years compared to before. And sculpts are getting like crazier and more elaborate, but a lot of that is also just price hike. Some of it's probably material costs, but a lot of it is competitors and the model and pricing is going up and up and up. And so nowadays you're really lucky if you can get a figure for like $100. Usually it's from like a Chinese manufacturer. So, you know, it just sucks. It's like harder to collect these days, even if you want to. And then you got companies putting out luxury products like Eastream, and they're selling these figures for $500, $600. It's like the price of a resin figure, not a garage kit resin figure as in like these kind, but like a pre-painted, you know, one. And so the price is just crazy. And with that, people's expectations get really high too, and so really they're expecting like a masterpiece, absolute masterpiece of a work, you know, with zero flaws at that price, which, to be honest, you know, I can understand. because if you're paying that much, you know, you should expect something really good. But then the quality is still coming out, you know, like it's a $300 paint job instead of a $500 paint job, you know? So it's like, it's tough. It's getting tougher. Yep, Eastream. That's you. So glad you got. Oh, thank you, Mr. Freaky. That means a lot. That's why I started all of this, is to, you know, help people who are interested in kits and at least foster an atmosphere where it's welcoming and people can join at any point and hear me rant about kits. Maybe, you know, check out my website and learn something new. So I'm happy to hear that it's happening. Which reminds me, I did add a new little thingy on my guides section of my website. Nothing crazy. You guys who have been here have already seen it, but it's basically just a link to my YouTube channel. So if, you know, you are interested in any of my past streams, I am putting them on YouTube as kind of just a record, both for myself and other people. So that way it lives forever. Because the Twitch streams delete after a certain number of days, so, and then they're gone forever. Which, if we had been, you know, not saving these, the whole Made Kit series would have been deleted already and long gone. But now it lives on YouTube. Let's see. The Bunny Girl Eastream figure looks dumb, plus $200 for the base. Which Bunny Girl are you talking about? I don't even know what they're making anymore, seems. I know that the last thing I saw was those like neon Rem and Ram and Amelias. They make a lot of these like luxury sword art online ones, which thankfully is not my interest. But they are quite elaborate, especially the bases, and so really you're paying for like a fancy base as well. Sounds like the Bunny Girl one might not be worth it though if the base is pretty simple. I feel like they're pretty mixed as a company, Eastream. I've seen a lot of love for them, and I've also seen a lot of hate for them. And so I think some of that probably just has to do with people's expectations. The pictures that I've seen of them seem like, you know, you get what you pay for. Maybe sometimes not quite what you get what you pay for, but like the finished sculpt that I've seen on most of them has been pretty close to the prototype, so I'm not really sure where some of the complaints are coming from, but I also haven't looked too closely and I've never bought one of these figures, so I can't say for sure. Let me click your link real quick. Oh yes, actually I think that one's really cool. I'm going to be honest with you here. Like, yes, it's kind of like a backing, you know, it's flat, so it's like a photo, but I think the effect of the train, like, kind of coming out, and the stairway coming out, and all of the crossroads, I think that's super cool, and so I would probably, like, if I were into her and I was, you know, wanting the figure of her, I might opt for that one. The photo, like, it's basically a built-in photo shoot too. But, I say but here, I am always wary of like these product photos, the pre-order photos, right? Because just because it looks like that in the promo doesn't mean that's what you're going to be getting as your final product. And so if it's 3D printed like that, there's no guarantee that it's going to look like it's beautifully modeled like that, right? You know, there could be some mold lines, the paint job might be kind of rough, like there might not be as much shading. So really with this type of thing, I think it will really depend on the final product. So I hold my thoughts until then. Like, looking at this, it looks pretty cool. Like, you can see that there's a lot of shading on the like railroad warning area. You can see this, there's like on that yellow, there's shading in that yellow to make it look three-dimensional. The black parts are actually like blue, so if you look at it from a corner, there's a bunch of blue, and then it's heavily shaded black. So there's quite a bit of dimensional shading going on there that I'm And along the train too. Yeah, there's a lot of shading going on along the train. The crevices are a darker green. It's got 2 levels of yellow shading, so you can see it along the front and kind of along the line where the green starts. There's another level of yellow shading. PVC final products can sometimes miss that, and more often than not, they tend to miss that. So, and especially those railroad crossing, like the tracks, the railroad tracks are pretty heavily shaded. So, I'm very skeptical that the finished product will look that 3-dimensional. If it's kind of like a gimmicky thing, then it's possible they could just make it and 3D print it and put some flat shading on it and then charge people an extra $200. So in that case, I would probably be pretty pissed about it. So these days, unless it's something I really, really, truly want, I tend to hold off, because more often than not, I am not impressed by the final product anymore. A lot of companies are charging those crazy prices and then not delivering a product that looks like the promo. But that's more of a critique of the industry as a whole rather than eStream or whoever the heck made this. I think it's eStream. Yeah, eStream. Yeah, I thought I'd make a point to mention that, because I'm not sure how people look at these figures, and so to me it's like, wow, that's really impressive, and that's one of the very first things that I always try to notice and figure out, and that's why I still buy PVC, is because I want to be able to spot these types of things and then apply it to my own work. And so, especially when you get these prototypes, they are painted by master painters who also paint garage kits. I actually follow a couple of them, and so you get people who say, oh, I did the color prototype for this figure, and so you're able to track it like that. And that's very much something that will, as you're working more in the hobby and you are looking at figures or looking at your own figures, you'll be able to spot shadings or flat coloring, etc. You look at a prize figure and really you're just getting mostly one-toned figure, one-toned color. There's not any shading going on, it's just all one color of plastic. The higher end stuff, you're going to be getting some pretty multi-dimensional shading, especially concerning companies like Alter. They really kind of go heavy on their shadings, and then it creates such a high contrast. I wish I had a figure I could bring up. Maybe I'll go and grab one real quick just so I can show you an example of what I'm working or what they look like. So if you don't mind, give me 1 second, because I enjoy talking about this too. Alright, I am back. So, right now I have 2 figures I'm going to show you guys, just kind of as an example of color and shading. They've been sitting in my detail for kind of a while, so if they're a little bit dusty, forgive me. I haven't dusted them for a while. So this is the first one. This is a prize figure, forgot who made it, but it's Remelia from Toho Project. So Remelia Scarlet. She's a little vampire, but this is a prize figure. And what we would probably consider a little more advanced prize figure. So, she's got kind of a lot going on. She's got all of these little effects. She's got her spear, she's got the little flame, etc. Pretty nice sculpt, in terms of the hair and everything else going on. But you can see that there's not a lot of shading going on here. So really, this is just a colored plastic, her dress, and there's no, gradient or shading happening here. Her arm, you can see, is kind of rough. It's got this mold line here, which is pretty typical when you're paying, you know, 15 bucks for a figure. There's a little bit of shading, so a little bit right here in her arm, a little bit right here, but other than that, not really much. You can see she's got this flame, kind of two-toned. There's a little bit of, you know, orange, clear orange or whatever sprayed on top of it. But other than that, not much. Yeah, this is a higher quality one. Like, I don't collect prize figures really at all, but I love Amelia, and I really like the sculpt of this, so I was pretty pleased with, for 15 or whatever I got her for. Her hair also, seems like there's a slight bit of shading going on, so it looks a little bit lighter up here than it does down here, but for the most part it's all one color. You can see there's not much differentiation between the hair strands, so normally if I'm building a kit I would add more dimensional shading for hair that's specifically sculpted like this. She's got some shading happening here and here, but as a whole there's not a lot going on, right? She looks kind of flat. It's cute. It's definitely, you know, worth the price. She's a little rough, but not too much happening. So that's this one. This is a standard price figure. This is a newer figure from the company Alter. So this is a much more expensive kit. This is an Alice from Odin Sphere kit from Alter. Recently came out. Absolutely crazy amount of shading going on here. This bird has like the base blue, it's got a secondary clear blue, it's got some black, it's got red up here. Let me move this cat because he's gonna fall out. It's got red, and it's got, you know, the black eyes and the black nose or beak, I guess. Even moving along here, you can see the gradients here. There's this nice base color here. There's kind of I think a clear color that has been applied kind of along most of this, and then an even darker here. So we have a like 3-tone shading here, and that applies for most of this kit. So you've got the base red, you've got the shading along pretty much every fold, etc. Like the back, crazy. Absolutely crazy. You've got so many colors going on here. You've got yellow fading into this kind of orangey, peachy color, turning into salmon, and then finally like this purple, as well as an accent yellow for the windows. So really, like, this is pretty ideal. This is a nice use of opposite colors. Really brings it out. You can see all of the reds kind of along these spots, which are supposed to be like front and center, I guess, primary, like in the front for the viewer, and then stuff kind of far away is shaded differently. And yeah, her eyes are crazy. They're shiny, which is something, you know, pretty rare for garage, or not garage kits, PVC kits, I guess, these days. A lot of times they're painted flat. So you got this really nice matte top coat, and then her eyes are glossy, which highly recommend doing this if you're painting kits. Really something that makes your kit stand out is if you get a flat top coat on this and then make stuff like the eyes glossy and metallics, so it really shines. Her dress too, you can see that she's got these beautiful shading here. Like, this is the primary color here is this lighter purple, and then it's got a lot of this darker clear purple shading along the edges here, along the back here. So basically anywhere where there's a clothing fold, there's some shading. This is the type of work that I expect to see from painted PVC figures. And it does not happen as well as this more often than not. And so my expectations for PVC are therefore like really high, and I don't buy a lot of them because, like, looking at them, all I can see is like a flat paint job. But something like this, just 100% worth the price. Like, this, seriously, of all the kits that I own, this one looks like the most hand painted to me, both because of like the fact it's fairy tale-ish, but the technical skill required in painting something like this and assembling it and sending it out to a consumer is just, it's wild. Like, this one is really crazy to me. It's got so much going on. It's got all these, you know, shiny books. It's got the front. And this was what, like 200 bucks? And so compared to a bunch of other stuff that's 200 bucks, like, why? why are not every company doing this? So Alter's kind of the exception though. So I'm kind of comparing the best to like a prize figure. So hard to, you know, make that comparison otherwise, but really impressed. And so this is the kind of level that I really want from my painted figures, which is why I don't buy them that often. I'm putting them side by side. You can see there's such a difference in shading and quality. But comparing a PVC to a prize figure is already kind of an unfair comparison, especially one that's, you know, considered the best in the industry. This kit is also, or this cat is also really cute. It's basically like, it's supposed to be a black cat, but you can see they really didn't paint him black at all. This is more reddish, and this is pretty much like a reddish brown. And then it's got this darker, I wouldn't say this is pure black. It's like a darker reddish, almost purplish shading that kind of goes in all of the highlights and stuff. And so you can see the back, like the ears are shaded, but it stops here because the front and center and the rounded piece is like, you know, the back of the head. So just little things to notice. Like if you have PVC, take a look at them. They're often a good reference for where to shade your own figures. You know, you want to be shading inside of crevices. You want to be shading tops of, you know, tails and bottoms of tails, and areas that are more like open space, I guess, or long, you know, areas like this, you want to be leaving those lighter color, because you're going to be getting a lot more dimension if you try to shade things in a way that mimics real life. One thing you learn with kit building, the color black is never truly black. Yep, pretty much. Yeah, I do not use black on pretty much any of my garage kits these days unless I'm painting something like pure black leather. So like shiny black pants, shiny leather pants, that kind of thing. Those will tend to be pure black. But the rest of it, not really. Yeah, usually what I'm doing is I'm shading clears, or I may use like a dark gray as an accent color or something, but I never pour black out of the bottle and just spray it directly on for a piece like that I'm painting. If you want to use it as a base layer for something else, that's a different story. That doesn't apply to this. So you would like paint something gloss black and then apply a metallic color over it to get like a really high shine, that kind of thing. That's what you would also use black for. But you know, if you're painting black hair, for example, don't just take black out of the bottle and spray it on. You can use series of clear purples, you can use reds, you can use anything to kind of get a deeper dimension rather than spraying black on it. You can mix, you know, black with another color to still get a really dark tone of that color, but nobody's hair is pure black, you know. Even people who have black hair, it has some sort of gloss and dimension to it. So just paint things. Sorry for my brief tangent. I also just kind of wanted to show off my figures, so yeah, I just wanted to show off some of my figures and ran about paint jobs for a while, so my bad. Anyway, I think actually we finished this hand at this point, at least whatever the heck I'm gonna end up be doing with this. Yeah, I filled in all the ones along here, so hard to, yeah, you can see this whole arm here is just full of pock marks and issues, and all of that has been corrected. At this point, the back too, there's so much putty in this. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like definitely more than 15 holes I drilled and filled in, not to mention the rest of the Bondo filling and stuff. So we'll just have to see how that goes, yeah, with the second round of primer, and hope that all of this puttying and stuff, you know, covered these flaws. I'm gonna leave a little bit of the primer on in some of the areas just to give it a second coat and lay it on a little bit thicker. But her arms especially, we want them to be kind of flawless because that clear skin paint is going to go on top, and so we really want a nice smooth and complete white top coat. So I think that's this piece. We are past 10 p.m. and I don't think I want to continue the rest of these pieces just because they're pretty intense in terms of the prep needed. There's a lot of holes like along here, and there, I think I mentioned it before, but there were a bunch of new holes that I noticed after I primed this that I didn't see before, so priming will also reveal those tiny bubbles and pinholes that you missed the first time. So there are many on these pieces here, and let me just sand this off because it was bugging me. Got like a mark or something on this piece. We weren't gonna do too much to correct like each of these folds because that would be crazy to try to like completely smooth everything down. But there are a couple of bubbles along the top here that I do want to pierce and sand down, and a bunch along the sides as well. So I think this weekend I will try to do as much of it as I can, and then that way on Monday, this coming Monday, we can prime all of these again and glue together that hair. Really though, this kid just ended up being kind of like bad in terms of prep, so it's taking a little longer. So yeah, I would say let's plan for maybe a little bit of sanding on Monday, but mostly priming again, and hopefully gluing and puttying those two hair strands together. Oh, and it is really raining here now, so my internet might go out. Probably good I stop here now. In any case, whoa, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me on this Wednesday. The next stream will be, wow, in August. We'll be finally entering August, so my last free month. Thank you so much for tuning in. August 2nd is the next stream, same time, 8 p.m. unless otherwise noted, but I don't think I have anything going on that Monday, so we should be good to stream. Hope you guys all have a good rest of the night. I will talk to you later. Bye bye.